Well, I'm no gun law attorney, but if you live in the state of New Jersey, I want to actually make a suggestion to you, especially if you got the money to do this. Now, if you don't have the money to do this, you probably don't want to do this anyway. Now, I do know that police, no matter where the hell they are, and it's not generally the police that are a problem because the police are being indoctrinated, the new police, as time goes on. It's a slow process. The newer police that come into being, big difference between the police of the 50s and today, 1950s, and what they are today. I kind of being indoctrinated in a lot of different ways, and you know how the deal is. They're getting kind of militarized. So here I'm showing something. New Jersey Supreme Court gives police overreaching power to search. Now, I'm going to talk about this, say, with like a firearm. I don't know. I think in New Jersey, I don't want to actually quote the law per se because I don't want to give you like legal advice on here, but I got a pretty decent handle on it, and do your own research. But I'll try to give you the best to my knowledge what I understand the law to be. Like if you're in New Jersey, you need to be going to the rifle range if you're transporting a firearm, or you're going to the gunsmith to have the sights fixed or something, or the barrel redone or something, or whatever, barrel relined. You actually have to be going to like a place where, without stopping off in different places to, you know, stop for lunch or gas maybe too. I don't even know how that'll be interpreted. So you just can't like go to a place, leave the gun in your car or something, and say you're going to be going there maybe some hours later. It's like you're taking an unauthorized, you know, diversionary pit stop. Now, one thing I was thinking about, because, well, this is like federal law, and again, I want to tell you, I don't know all these laws exactly, but I think I have a pretty good handle on them. They got a thing called antique firearms, and according to federal law, to the best of my knowledge, that means pre-1899, which means 1898 and prior. And actually, there's some pretty damn good rifles out there, especially made in the 1890s. It has to be manufactured in the 1890s. You could change the barrel or whatever it is. It could be like a Winchester 1894. It could be a Marlin 1894, a Winchester 1892, Winchester 1895, a Marlin, was it 1886? Is that one of them? Winchester 1886, a Winchester 1873. And as long as it's manufactured 1898 or prior, it's considered an antique by federal law, to the best of my knowledge. But in New Jersey, they make another catch. And they also say, like anything that's a pistol, you still got to get a permit whether it's an antique or not. Now, with a rifle, what they'll state is it has to be non-firing, or the ammo has to be commercially not available. Now, considering even the older rifles for Winchesters and stuff, like you might have a 4440, a 3855, what the hell else out is there? 2530, is that one of them? I forgot. I don't even remember what the hell they are, but they had a lot of calibers, not the calibers, but actually cartridges that were straight wall cartridges that they became smokeless powder cartridges later, and they had the designation like 3855. Actually, that was a really good one. 38 being a caliber, 55 being a number of grains of black powder. But then it went to smokeless and had like a different number of grains for the smokeless powder. But since even those things are not popular around, they're not popular like you walk in a gun store and say, give me some 3855. More than likely they're not going to have it. But it is commercially available someplace. It's not like they're dodo eggs. It's not like somebody manufactures it someplace. So that makes all those rifles not to the antique classification as per Jersey law. But this is where I got into thinking. I said, hey, what about, now I can tell you one thing, a lever action rifle is a damn good rifle. It's fast handling, it's accurate, it's not like extremely accurate like a bolt action, but it's lightweight, it's fast handling, you can load it up on a go. It's not going to have more than 10 rounds, that's obvious, another thing. I don't think any of them do. I mean, maybe a 22 might or something, but it can't have more than 15 rounds, you know that's a New Jersey law too. And even when you're talking about these antiques, right? And they define antique not commercially available. So what the hell is, what the hell can you use? Not commercially available, and it has to be, pre-1899 or non-firing. So here's something I thought, Wildcat. Now, you could take the venerable 3030 cartridge, which is shown here in the middle. On the left side is a 223 Remington or 5.56 NATO. On the right side of this 3030 is a 7.62 by 51 millimeter Winchester, right? Or the military nomenclatures is 7.62 NATO. The one in the middle is the 3030. Now, obviously, you can't use a 3030 in a pre-1899 or 1898 and below weapon, and that be considered an antique in New Jersey. But one of the earliest Wildcat cartridges out there was the 3530. It was a 3030 brass casing with the neck expanded to 35 caliber. Now, that will never be commercially available, because what they have commercially available, it's not the same thing, though. It's definitely not the same thing. It's this 35 Remington. The 35 Remington is commercially available, right? 35 Remington is different from the Wildcat 3530 based on the 3030 case. Now, even though the 35 Remington might have came from the idea, it's definitely different. The 3530 Wildcat is definitely not commercially available. I don't think it would ever be commercially available, because you got the 35 Remington, which is probably a little bit better, and why would they make something, kind of the same that's a little bit inferior maybe in ballistics? Nobody would buy it. Nobody chambers a 3530 anywhere. It's a Wildcat. It's not a commercial round. But it's very easy to actually, load those cartridges. You just get 3030 brass, and you expand the neck on the brass to 35, and you cast your own bullets, or you can just use any 35. There's different weights. The load data you'll have to pay for. The actual load data you can use, like Hodgdon 335. Typical rounds might be like 260 grains, 1,700 feet per second. It's a pretty stout round. It's not going to go really, really fast, but it can handle some pretty damn good-sized game. And, you're not going to, if you're firing them in the same rifle, you're not going to really worry about sizing them down too much, because, if it's going through the same rifle, it's not going to be interchanged between another rifle, because it's a 3530 Wildcat. But since it's a Wildcat, it's not commercially available. And I don't see how that does not fit the definition of New Jersey's law on an antique firearm. In other words, you got to get something manufactured prior to 1898, which means 1899, which means 1898 and earlier. Preferably something in the 1880s to 1890s, because they had better steel. You'd have to find something that is a 3030, then have it rechambered for a 35, and the bore expanded to a 3530. Now, the reason the Wildcat came into being in the first place, the 3530 Wildcat came into being in the first place. Actually, it came into being right around the late 1800s, right around that time, like in the late 1898 or something, because they had the 3030s that were wearing out, the 32 Winchester centerfires that were wearing out. They had like a 32, I forget what it was, 3240? I'm probably saying that wrong, but I don't remember all these nomenclature. But basically, some of the older rifles that were in 32 caliber, when they wore out, they were able to just bore them out to a 35, rechamber them, make the chamber work for the Wildcat 3530, and then you could just take 3030 brass, cast some lead with 35 caliber diameter, and reload the 30-30 brass when the neck is expanded to 35 caliber. It wasn't really hard to do, man. And that thing, it actually, not only would it take deer, but it would take large game. I mean, it would freaking have no problem at all. So I think that's a damn sweet idea, because, say for instance, you really, probably where you would probably be best safe with something like that is, say for instance, you apply for it and you get your New Jersey firearms ID card, which I think is bullshit. It's been around for a long time. I mean, I had one for years when I was there in the 70s, and I don't know how long that law has been in existence. I actually tried to look up when that law came into being, but I know that law must have been, maybe it was passed in 68. Maybe that's an idea. I almost think it probably was. I don't know when, but I know it was around in the early 70s, but I don't think it was around in the 50s. To tell you the truth, I don't know when that stupid law came into being. They make it sound like it's been around forever, but it hasn't been, because when the National Gun Control Act in 1968 came into being, pretty much anybody could just buy a gun off a freaking Sears catalog and order it in the mail. Today you can't do that. Now with an antique firearm, you could do that. In most states, I think it's just 1898 and earlier. In New Jersey, it's 1898 and earlier. Plus, it can't be a pistol unless you got a permit for a pistol. And I know there's other firearms laws, like it can't be below, I know nationally it can't be a machine gun. Nationally, it can't be below 16-inch length barrel, because that's like a short barrel rifle. But there's not too many of those around, I don't think. But that's kind of like, you wouldn't be buying it anyway. But in New Jersey, it has to be non-firing and 1898 and earlier, and the ammunition has to be not commercially available. And you're thinking, well, not commercially available, that means you'd have some ammo that's probably like 150 years old that doesn't even work, right? So how would you get that stuff, man? Where'd you even get the brass? Well, like I said, the solution would be the 3530 Wildcat, which was actually, it's not commercially available anywhere, but at the turn of the century, it was kind of a Wildcat that was very popular back in like 1898 to 1910 or something. And now nobody uses it anymore, because when they came out with the 35 Remington, it's probably a little bit better than that, and that is commercially available. But that's a different round. That's a different round. Now, I don't want, so if you had something like that, and, first off, you don't have a firearm, from my understanding, you might want to check this out with a gun attorney or something. I don't know if the NRA even knows this shit. Who the hell would know? I was actually a gun attorney. And, you really, from my understanding, if you had an 1898 or earlier, pre-1899 lever action that was chambered for a Wildcat 3530, which that's definitely not commercially available. It fits the definition, from what I could tell, as a New Jersey antique firearm. Or an antique. In other words, it's not really a firearm. So it's kind of, what I'm looking at, it's exempt from all the laws I can think of. But who the hell knows? There might be another law out there I don't know about. Because I can tell you right honestly, the attorneys, the district attorney, the attorneys, the prosecutors, the courts, and even, probably more so even the cops, they don't even know the law. If they looked at that, they'd probably say, well, that looks like a firearm, and they'd probably say, oh, you can't do that. But if, you got to cover the first hand, and now this is only if you got money. Because I think if you bought something like this, you're talking thousands of dollars for an antique that's in good shape, that or has been reconditioned, and probably several $100s more to have it done in a 3530. And then you'd have to getting a 3030 brass wouldn't be hard, but then you'd have to find some special reloading die that can well, whatever. I guess that wouldn't be hard either, to make it to load up to 3530 Wildcats. But once you had that, you have something that's fully functional. It's a great firearm in every respect of the word, but it's not a firearm because it's an antique, even by New Jersey law. But to really CYA cover your ass, what you should do is also get the New Jersey ID card for firearms. You should do that because it's like extra insurance. That's the way I look at it. I don't think that's that's an act of God to get that kind of crap, like getting a concealed carry permit or something like that. New Jersey, the only people that have concealed carry permits are politically connected people. Don't even let them think they give it out to people that need them. They're only politically connected people. If they're, they know the governor. Well, I don't even want to mock Christie because I think Christie's he's got the tide going against him. Whether you freaking think so or not. But in New Jersey, that's politically connected people will get, I guess if it's a mayor of a town, they say, I want a concealed fire permit. Guarantee you they get one because they know or whatever it is, There's some bigwig. Because I think there's only 1,300 concealed carry permits in the entire state of New Jersey of millions of people. I don't know, 7.5 million people there. I don't know what the hell it is. It's kind of interesting, too, because some of the southern states, like South Carolina, Georgia, and Florida, will not recognize New Jersey's concealed carry permit. And I'm thinking, good, because they won't recognize any of the permits from these states in New Jersey. And, the only people that have concealed carry permits in New Jersey are politically connected. It's not even based upon need. I mean, yeah, theoretically the law is by need because, I had 12 attempts on my life and they didn't get me yet, and then you got to go through some shit. And every 2 years you got to freaking prove that you had another 12 attempts on your life. They should probably have a service where you could freaking, have some, attempts on your life or something like that to prove your case or some shit. I don't know. Boy, that would be an expensive service. But, money actually does anything. So all the politically connected, the big money people, they get their permits. That's the 1,300. It's probably nobody with an average salary that isn't politically connected. So, what a freaking screw job, But yeah, that would probably be one of your better bets to do in New Jersey. I don't know why you want to live there. I don't. I hate it. And Chris Christie, if you're listening to this, Governor Christie, whatever, I ain't knocking you, man. I mean, God, I tell you, man, I don't know. One of these days, New Jersey's going to be in a nuclear bullseye or the peripheral of the New York City nuclear bullseye, and you're going to have mass freaking hysteria, lawlessness, and nobody's going to have guns to defend themselves. Well, they do. There's some people that do. I think about 10% of the people in New Jersey have guns or something, but it ain't that many, really, when you consider about the number of people that don't, There's going to be major problems over there, man. But psychologically, it's probably better to have a lever action because a lot of people look at it and say, oh, that's the old cowboy John Wayne gun. But, I don't want to say too much with the cops or nothing, but you know what? A cop ain't going to give a shit most of the time. It's like, did you freaking, you know what I mean? I don't know what the hell they do. I mean, it's all individual. They're pissed off that day. I wouldn't trust it. So, you'll probably I would think that if you have a true antique and you were carrying it not even to the range, well, you don't have a firearm. It's an antique. From what I can understand, that shouldn't be a problem. But I'm not a lawyer. I'm not an attorney. Okay? And if you have your New Jersey firearms ID card and it's on your person and you have this thing in your car, in your trunk or something like that locked, and somehow, the cops come by and they say, whoa, you're going to open up your trunk. We got a crowbar that gives us authorization to do that. I don't know if they could do that, but, well, what the hell, at least if you have a true antique, and you have that ID card, and they probably screw you initially, but I don't want to give you advice here, but exactly, but I think I found a way around some of the bullshit. Now, of course, these jackasses in New Jersey that pass these laws, they really what their goal is to disarm the people completely, and they want a Nazi complete state, police state. That's what they want. I don't even know why New Jersey's allowed in the union anymore. To tell you the truth, they should be voted out of the union by constitutional amendment. I think the other states in the country ought to just say, New Jersey, you're not allowed to be in the United States anymore. Sorry. We're going to put a border up. We're going to put a wall up, and it's going to be 50 times higher, and you're not going to be a citizen of the rest of the country. Now, if you're living in New Jersey and hearing this, time to move out. I'm telling you, man. I don't know what the hell, man. I mean, if I see a place, if I even think down here, it's this part of, we're in the South, it's getting too many people from New Jersey coming down here, I'll move out and move up in the mountains. That's what I'll do. I won't even put up with bullshit coming down here from New Jersey and New York. And, I'll go up in the damn mountains. That's the freaking fact, Jack. I will move. I don't even care if it costs money, time, effort, and whatever the hell it is. Because, when places get too screwed up, you don't stay there. That's what the hell it is. Let the freaking powers that be that create these laws, let them fend for themselves. I'm not going to be their slave to support them. The hell with them. And it's why would I bother even trying to... Yeah, sure, you can fight them, and you might as well fight them all you want. But you know what? I wouldn't stay there and fight them because they got the power. It's a losing proposition. They make the laws. And you can't disobey the laws and not expect to be penalized if you're entrapped by some bullshit that you didn't even know about. Because, like I said, most of the time, even the people that are making the laws aren't aware of what all the implications are, including the people that are running the court system, the judges, the district attorneys, the prosecutors. They don't even know all the laws. Nobody knows all the laws. You pull one out of your ass someplace. But I think that the antique provision, which seemed to be insurmountable in New Jersey with non-commercially available ammo, which means, all that old cowboy ammo they had in 32 Winchester centerfire, 38, 50, 35, yeah, that's what it was, 3855, 4440, and 4570 is definitely, that's definitely commercially available, but that, that's an older cartridge. And even some of the ones, I think it's like a 25 something. There's another 25 caliber and a 32 caliber that was originally a black powder cartridge that went to smokeless. They're not, you really can't walk into like a gun shop and find them that easy, but they are made commercially. So that makes all those firearms, even though they're made prior to 1899, they still have commercially available ammo. So they're not antiques by New Jersey law. But then I start thinking, I wonder what kind of Wildcat would be good. And the best one would be that 3530. Because there's like 3030 is like real easy to get brass for. But you're not putting 3030 would not qualify as not commercially available. That's real commercially available. But a 3030 that had to be made into a Wildcat is not commercially available at all. It's got a different bore in the rifle. It's got a different chamber. And the brass has to be custom sized. But it's not that difficult to do all that stuff. Now, maybe they can get all pissed off and say, well, that wasn't the intent of the law. But you know what? I don't see how the law doesn't... The law states one damn thing. The law states... Now, I'm not an attorney here, but if I was one, I'd be arguing... The law specifically states the ammo has to be not commercially available. And the 3530 Wildcat is definitely not commercially available. And if it's being used in a weapon that is prior to 1899, well, I can't say that it does not fit the definition of an antique firearm, even in the state of New Jersey. And of course, the barrel has to be at least 16 inches long and all that kind of shit. Can't hold 15 rounds or more. But you know, it's not going to hold 15 rounds with freaking 35-30 ammunition. No way in hell. I mean, a barrel would have to be like 8 feet long or something. Well, not 8 feet long, but no, nothing holds that, because those rounds are pretty damn long. Even the smaller pistol rounds, it might hold 10 or 12 or some shit at the max, you know. So yeah, that would be the way to do it. Now, like I said, I don't want to give this out as ironclad legal advice, but you know what? Hey, if you really want to cover your ass, you know, if you're like thinking, well, sometimes I leave the weapon here, sometimes I leave it here, and I don't want, you know, sometimes it's in my car and I forget about it, or sometimes I'm taking it this place and I got to stop over here, and it's not directly going to the rifle range, and you're worried about shit like that. Well, if you got a true antique, and you also have your New Jersey Firearms ID card on you, I don't see how you get in trouble, but I don't want to tell you freaking ironclad for sure, because you know how the deal is. These jerks will freaking interpret anything any which way from Sunday, and even if you didn't do nothing wrong, you might wind up spending thousands of dollars to get your ass out of trouble or some shit. But I wanted to suggest this because I didn't ever saw anything on YouTube about this angle, and yeah, if the New Jersey legislator wants to get together and make a specific rule to close this quote-unquote loophole, yeah, loophole, right? Get the fuck out of here. I think New Jersey's a loophole. New Jersey itself is a loophole on the whole freaking rest of the country. Communist. And I don't want to knock anybody in the place because I understand what's going on. I don't like, you know, I hear people, I used to live there a long time ago, many years ago. And I'm like, screw that place. Anyway, so, you know, like I said, this might be an avenue worth pursuing, but it'll cost you a few bucks, because I don't know what the hell those antiques cost. They cost thousands of dollars. They might cost $3,000 or $5,000. I don't know. Then you're gonna have to pay. Well, I guess paying a few $100 more to freaking have it, whatever, $400 to have it bored and chambered and get the ammo and Wildcat stuff and make that. That wouldn't be that much money compared to a rifle. But you know, if the thing isn't really a rifle and it's an antique by New Jersey law, boy, that freaking sort of like makes it a lot easier, you know, with all the other bullshit that's going on around there. And you could still, like, you know, you could still use it just like anything else that's modern, right? Also, what the hell, might want it even loaded up with black powder, right? Boom, you got the big smoke coming out of it, right? Anyway, have fun at the range, and you know, I think the day I'd move up to New Jersey is when there's a homeowners association that says it's a law in our homeowners association in our subdivision that you own a gun, and part of the dues that's being paid to the homeowners association is for all you want to use rifle range, which is included in the amenities, a rifle range, instead of, like, you know, a tennis court and a pool or some shit. There's a rifle range. And if they have a homeowners association like that with a subdivision in New Jersey, then I might freaking consider going back. Otherwise, screw it. Anyway, that would be a nice building project for Donald Trump. He can do some HOAs with rifle ranges and stuff, right? Second Amendment ones. And you know, what the hell, right? Private property, right? Private property. So if you're driving from your house to the rifle range, this is the homeowners association. It's all private property. You law officers, you can't freaking, you know, hey, you can have open carrier in your own homeowners association, right? Maybe that's the way to go get around this bullshit, right? Everybody that's a gun owner basically just get in a town or a homeowners association and build a big wall and, like, you know, have a citadel and make their own freaking gun laws and just call it Guntown Freedom Fighters NJ. And the hell with this shit, right? You see how I think? I get on a freaking roll and I just go, man. But I don't know if everybody's got that same kind of spirit. But you see, there's always ways around this shit. There's always ways around this shit. Because if you make a town that says we got our own rules and it's all private property, well, fuck you, right? That's, you could say with everybody else. You ain't even allowed to come in here, man. There you go. How's that? So there's always something you can do, but it takes balls. That's what it takes. It takes real balls.